Hello, everyone. Welcome again to Clinical Trial Channel. After we discuss on part 1, and now we come to the part 2 of the very strategic publicity that recently published by US FDA entitled Enhancing the Diversity of Clinical Trial Populations, Eligibility Criteria, Enrollment Practices, Trial Designs Guidance for the Industry. Please enjoy. Hello, everybody. After discussing the part 1, and now we discuss on the part 2 of the publicity issued by the US FDA entitled Enhancing the Diversity of Clinical Trial Populations, Eligibility Criteria, Enrollment Practices, Trial Designs Guidance for the Industry. Trial design and methodological approaches. Sponsors should consider various trial design and methodological approaches that will facilitate enrollment of a broader population. The following are examples of approaches to consider. 1. Consider characterizing. In early clinical development, drug metabolism and clearance across populations that may metabolize or clear the drug differently. For example, older adults and participants with liver or kidney dysfunction. Early characterization of drug metabolism and clearance across groups will help avoid later exclusions, and more generally, will allow dose adjustments to optimize effectiveness and safety across different populations. And the second, using an adaptive clinical trial design would allow for pre-specified trial design changes during the trial when data become available, including altering the trial population. An adaptive design can start with a narrow population if there are concerns about safety and expand to a broader population based on interim safety data from the trial that provides support for doing so. The adaptive trials may also provide for broader enrollment when there is uncertainty regarding whether the drug will be safe and effective in certain populations, with an interim analysis that will enable adjustment of future enrollment based on pre-specified criteria regarding response. And the third, consider a broader pediatric development program early. The arbitrary sequential enrollment of pediatric subgroups by chronological age for some conditions could unnecessarily delay development of medicines for children by limiting the population for study. Therefore, staggering enrollment in pediatric studies based on chronological age, it is enrollment of older pediatric participants first, then younger pediatric participants, should be justified with a clear scientific rationale, such as a known or potential developmental safety concern. And the fourth, consider including pharmacokinetic sampling to establish dosing in women who become pregnant during a trial when it is possible for continued participation with sufficient assurances of safety And if the risk to the participant and fetus of continued trial participation are reasonable in relation to the anticipated benefits and the importance of the knowledge that may be expected to result. This may provide important information regarding drug metabolism during pregnancy and across the trimesters, a time when physiology can change significantly. As part of the overall study design, sponsors can improve the diversity of enrolled participation by accounting for logistical and other participant-related factors that could limit participation in clinical trials. The following are few examples of potential approaches, and FDA encourages the development of other approaches. Make trial participation less burdensome for participants. During the study design phase, consider the recruitment challenges that may occur because of the planned visit schedule and difficulties with accessibility, including for individuals with disabilities, to trial sites. Reduce the frequency of study visits to those needed to appropriately monitor safety and efficacy. And also consider whether flexibility in visit windows is possible, and whether electronic communication by telephone, mobile telephone, secured electronic mail, social media platforms, or digital health technology tools that can be used to replace site visits and provide investigators with adequate real-time data. Consider the use of mobile medical professionals, such as nurses and phlebotomists, to visit participants at their locations instead of requiring participants to visit distant clinical trial sites. The second, during recruitment, over and make participants aware of financial reimbursements for expenses associated with costs incurred by participation in clinical trials, such as travel and lodging expenses. Next is adopt enrollment and retention practices that enhance inclusiveness. First, implement more inclusive strategies for public outreach and education, including incorporating patient-focused research into clinical trial design. Industry, patient advocacy groups, medical associations, and other stakeholders can consider collaborating to educate participants about clinical trial participation. And the second, consider also fostering community engagement through medical societies, focus groups, community advisory boards, disease registries, and community-based participatory research, the latter of which promotes the design of clinical research with the assistance of community members and leaders to more effectively meet the needs of potential participants. And the third, ensure that clinical trial sites include geographic location with a higher concentration of racial and ethnic minority patients and indigenous populations, as well as location within the neighborhoods where this population receive their health care, because restricting clinical trial sites to selected geographic locations may limit the ability to enroll a diverse trial population. Consider diversity when selecting healthcare providers and study coordinators to assist with clinical trial recruitment, because participants may prefer a healthcare provider of their same cultural background. And fourth, Make recruitment events accessible by holding them often, as well as offering them during evening and weekend hours. Consider holding the events in non-clinical but trusted locations, such as places of worship or community centers, social commercial venues such as barbershops and beauty salons, and public events such as cultural festivals, carnivals, and parades, as a means of connecting with diverse populations and populations that may have limited or no internet access. And the fifth, explore agreements to facilitate the exchange of medical records between clinical trial sites in order to promote participant retention by obtaining participant consent for clinical trial investigators to transfer medical records, including electronic medical records, when participants move from one location to another, because participants often struggle to navigate the gathering and transfer of records between sites. And the sixth, consider use of online or social media recruitment strategies to identify participants for whom a traditional referral center is not accessible. And the seventh, consider using electronic informed consent to allow participants to read and sign necessary forms remotely instead of traveling to a clinical trial site, while ensuring that all potential participants, including those with literacy issues, understand all necessary information. For conclusion, broadening eligibility criteria and adopting more inclusive enrollment practices should improve the quality of studies by ensuring that the study populations is more representative of the population that will use the drug if the drug is approved. By facilitating the discovery of important safety information about use of the investigational drug in patients who will take the drug after approval, and by increasing the ability to understand the therapy's benefit-risk profile in later stages of drug development for the phase 3 population across the patient population likely to use the drug in clinical practice. The FDA encourages sponsors to consider the approaches outlined in this guidance and develop other approaches as appropriate. This is end of part 2. Thank you for your kind attention. God bless. Bye.